Good evening. The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Wednesday, April 15, 2020 is called to order. Welcome to the first ever virtual Goodyear Planning and Zoning meeting. Due to the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the city is taking steps to ensure the health and safety of our community and our employees. Emergency declarations have been made at local and federal levels, asking the community to stay at home to prevent the spread of the virus. As a result, attendance in person by members of the public will be prohibited. Instead, we have invited the public to submit comments via email, and staff will read them during the meeting. In addition, the meeting is being live streamed on Facebook, which is accessible for all members of the public, even if they do not have a Facebook account. The email address, publiccomments@goodyearaz.gov, has been set up for public to send their comments for the meeting. Again, that's public comments, publiccomments @Goodyear, GOODYEARAZ.gov, GOV. Staff is monitoring this email and will read any comments received for each item according to the 3-minute time limit. Commissioners, please mute your microphones and be aware of your video during presentations to avoid interruption. Each commissioner will have a chance for an on-call. All votes will be a roll call vote, and I will call on each commissioner for questions at the appropriate time during the hearings. At this time, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, will you please note the roll?
Chairman Bray is present. Commissioner Steiner is present. Commissioner Kish is present. Commissioner Clymer is present. Commissioner Ellison is present. Vice Chairman Barnes is absent. Commissioner Maloney is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. At this time, I would ask one of our commissioners to please make a motion to excuse Commissioner Maloney and Vice Chairman Barnes from this evening's meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
Commissioner Kish?
I move that we allow them to miss the meeting.
Second.
I believe that was that Commissioner Steiner?
Yes, sir.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Steiner, to excuse Commissioner Maloney and Vice Chairman Barnes from this evening's meeting. Is there any discussion?
No.
Hearing none,
No.
all those in favor signify, actually, it's a voice vote, so Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Steiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Kish,
Aye.
Commissioner Clymer,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellison,
Yes.
and Chairman Bray.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Agenda item number 1 is to approve the draft minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on March 11th, 2020. Those have been provided online. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I so move that we accept the minutes from the meeting of March 11th.
Is there a second?
Second.
A second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Kish for the approval of the March 11th commission meeting. Is there any discussion?
No.
All those in favor, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Kish,
Aye.
Commissioner Clymer,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellison,
Aye.
Chairman Bray.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any non-agenda items. Are there any emails? Again, that email is publiccomments@goodyearaz.gov.
We have not received any emails.
Thank you. Disclosure of ex parte communication. This is an opportunity for commission members to disclose any ex parte communication they may have had prior to the meeting on any agenda items. I'll just read through the list. Anything to disclose, Commissioner Steiner?
No.
Commissioner Kish?
No.
Commissioner Clymer?
No.
Commissioner Ellison?
No.
Thank you. All right, we'll go on to agenda item number 2. I will open a public hearing, and this is for the rezoning to final plan area development for Curve at Estrella Falls. The time limits will remain the same. Again, public comments at goodyearaz.gov. And who will be presenting tonight?
Mr. Chairman, Steve. Yes, this is Steve Correcchia with City of Goodyear Planning and Zoning. I will be presenting this item. And this item is a request for a final planned area development. The project is called Curve at Estrella Commons. And the area of the city that we are located, this is I-10 right here at Estrella Parkway. This is the Walmart Supercenter just south of I-10. A little further south by Van Buren, we have the Safeway Plaza. The subject property is located just east of Estrella Parkway, south of Roosevelt Street, about 7.6 acres. And surrounding this property, we have low-density single family to the east. We have multi-family apartments. We have a future commercial uses, grocery store and restaurant to the west. Undeveloped property located to the north. General plan designation for this property is business and commerce. However, this land use does allow residential use as noted in the staff report. Zoning for the subject property right here is preliminary PAD. It is part of a larger PAD called Estrella Commons that was initially approved in 2006, and this exhibit here highlights the larger area that is Estrella Commons. The land use for the subject property, as noted in the PAD, is district. And as intended by the PAD, that was a mix of uses that included all kinds of commercial retail and services, as well as multifamily development. The subject request is to remove that 7.6 acres from Estrella Commons and create a separate final PAD. And again, that new PAD will be called Curve at Estrella Commons. Underlying zoning for this PAD will be the city's R1C court home designation, as that is the plan for this PAD. It will be for single-family detached court homes. And at this time, the community is proposed to be for rent. This is the development plan that was included with the PAD, currently intended for 64 court homes. It's approximately 8 to 10 dwelling units per acre. It'll be a common court configuration where you'll have roughly 4 to 6 court homes accessing a private shared drive that'll then be accessed by a private loop road. This is the private street that will serve the courts. The main entry will be off of Roosevelt Street. There's also a secondary emergency access only that is located here in the northeast corner of the property. About 12% of the project is designated for open space. Main open space here is located within the central area of the project. Visitor parking will also be dispersed along the private street. Visitor parking will also be allowed on the street, and there will be driveways serving many of the court homes. Following this slide, I will go through several of the exhibits that were in the PAD. However, I'll stay at a higher level as the applicant will go into greater depth with those documents. And this is just the configuration of the community. You can see the 4 to 6 homes, how they access a common driveway. And this is a closer look at a typical pod here, how you'll have a shared driveway. The garages will be off the shared driveway. Then you'll have fronts of homes along the private street. These are some of the design concepts proposed for the homes. Again, they're all single family detached court homes. And these are some of the design elements that the applicant would like to incorporate on those homes. This is a streetscape showing, again, the concept that they would like to use for this development. Because it is a rezoning, the project did have to comply with our citizen review process. So that process included a mailing to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property. For these public hearings before the Planning Commission and City Council, we did post the property. We placed a legal ad within the newspaper. We also provided a mailing again to those property owners within 500 feet of the subject property. We also updated the city's current development applications page of the city's website. To date, staff has not received any public inquiries on this project. After reviewing this project, we do find the rezoning is consistent with the general plan. It is compatible with the surrounding area. As such, staff is recommending approval of this rezoning subject to those 9 stipulations that were in the draft of ordinance number 2020-1465. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Well done this evening. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and is the applicant online, or does the applicant wish to address the commission at this time?
Good evening, Chair. This is Jason Sanks with SCG Engineering. I'd like to address the commission with a short PowerPoint presentation.
Please do.
Wonderful. All right, just give me one moment if you don't mind. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Again, Jason Sanks with SCG Engineering, Planning and Architecture. We're at 8280 East Gelding Drive in Scottsdale. And I'm going to bring up my PowerPoint. Please let me know when you see the screen.
It's I can see it now.
Wonderful. Okay, so my intention here would be to kind of supplement the staff presentation, which gave a very accurate representation of the project and its location. I'm going to provide some additional details on some of our vision for the project. We've spent quite some time working with staff, working internally with our own design teams for the last 9 months on the zoning case. And I should note that we do have a companion preliminary plat application, which is in process with the city. And our hope would be that if we're successful with the zoning case in this month with P&Z tonight and then council on the 27th, that we'd be fortunate to be able to bring the preliminary plat forward in front of you next month. So just to reiterate a couple things for our location, we are in the north central portion of Goodyear. We're within the Estrella Commons PAD currently. We would be tucked behind the proposed Aldi grocery store that's going to be at Roosevelt and Estrella Parkway. Just north of the Acero apartments that are under construction and just west of the Fulton Homes community, a significant amount of regional commercial located in the area. It's a relatively intense use of land in this area with the three-way interchange. I went and made an exhibit. I brought in a 2020 aerial from Maricopa County assessors so that you could kind of see a little bit better context of how our development plan would kind of snap in our vision. So as a planner myself, I kind of find the proposed density of 8 units per acre a great transitional density. That's 3.5 units per acre to the east within Fulton Homes. It's 23.8 units for the 3-story Acero apartments that are located directly south of us. And then, of course, this project would be built behind the loading area of the Aldi grocery store, as well as their parking lot just north of their store. You should be able to see the site plan kind of ghosted in. The land use of north of Roosevelt within the district is envisioned to be a mixed-use district of entertainment, commercial, and possibly additional multifamily type uses. So we kind of feel like we're going to be in the middle of a hub once this area does build out. A little bit better view of the development plan. We have a black line exhibit that's included in the PAD narrative. It's a more technical exhibit. I've included the more illustrative conceptual landscape plan so you can see the interface of the lots, the street, and the open space. So we will be taking primary access from Roosevelt Street. You'll see this kind of interesting spin-off street here. This was a requirement from Aldi, and their interest was to have truck access to their loading area behind their store. And then once they come up north, they can come in and out and use this little access street so that when they go to Roosevelt, they have full motion turning movements and can get to the freeway and take a ride on the Estrella Parkway. So that's why this is here. Staff has conditioned their support for this project with providing a pedestrian connection along this street. So within our preliminary plat documents, we have provided a sidewalk connection to connect over to this area of the shopping center. We had envisioned earlier to try to connect over further south, but this would put us in the loading dock area. And then the grade differential between the two made this a little problematic to just kind of dump off in the middle of a parking lot. So at least up here in this little side street, we can do an ADA accessible ramp so that people can transition per code onto the paving area of the Aldi area. A little recap on the project. Again, these are single family homes. They are on platted lots. So this will get a final plat with individually platted lots. The ownership of the property and the homes themselves will be retained by Curve for the foreseeable future as a rental community, as noted by Steve. It is certainly possible should Curve or whoever change their kind of concept of how this project is going to either be rented. These could be sold in the future as fee simple lots. So it is just 64 lots. It's a relatively small boutique community. We are at just 8 dwelling units per acre. All of the homes have fully integrated 2-car garages, and about half of the homes have their own driveway that would accommodate 2 cars. Any additional necessary parking could be done on the street or in guest parking spaces as shown on the site plan. All of the community landscaping, all of the front yards are professionally designed. They're contiguous and will be professionally maintained. The prospective owners or even future prospective renters or future owners, should that happen, would have contiguous landscape maintained by the HOA. And this is a neighborhood. This is a street that comes in. This neighborhood street that loops the development. This is not your typical multifamily concept where you enter a development and there's a series of drive aisles and carports and buildings. This is going to look and feel like a residential auto court neighborhood. This is a bird's eye view of what the entry would look like with the divided median with landscaping. There's some alternate paving accents and treatments. And it's been specifically designed so that the focus is on your arrival. You come home to the community, you've come in off Roosevelt Street, and the first thing you see as you enter the development is the landscape median and then the park space that's in the middle of the project. From there, you tee off either going left or right on the loop street. So this initiates some traffic calming. As well, part of our design feature and vision would be that these homes that you see to the left and the right of the entry, if you look at the site plan, you can see that the larger footprint homes are actually all 1 story. So we have 1-story and 2-story homes sprinkled throughout the development. And the emphasis being that we have the 1-story as the soft edge at corners. And then the two-story homes are placed on the interior portions of the cluster modules, which I'll get to in just a moment. Our neighborhood design has always been a focus on the street. So we are going to have sidewalks and tree-lined streets. Each lot that abuts the private street will have trees. And all of the homes, you can see the architecture of these homes has been intended to de-emphasize the garage and focus on livable area, porches, and pedestrian connections throughout. So it's not, again, a multifamily development where buildings kind of spin and turn and are situated every which way, but rather the most attractive community interactive portions of the homes have been oriented to the private street to give it a very specific look and feel for the residents. So with that, you have the porches oriented. Most of the garages in the development are clustered in the auto courts, so they don't dominate the streetscape. There are no car parks. We do have 1- and 2-story home varieties, which by itself inherently brings in roofline diversity, so it doesn't look like the same house kind of plotted down on every lot. And again, reiterating the fact that this will have professional landscaping installed throughout and been maintained by the HOA. The bottom of the screen, you can see conceptual design elements that would be part of our residential design review submittal following at least the preliminary planning stage of this project, in which staff would review to make sure that we meet the design guidelines of the city. This is a blow up of our focus on the park exhibit. You can see you come in, there's some alternate paving treatments in some locations. We have a shade ramada.
You have 2 minutes.
Oh, I have to hurry. Okay, so lounge seating, game lawn, and dog park. There's also a dog comfort station, and that's where the mailboxes would be. This gives you a bird's eye view of what the cluster module would feel like. Again, the first single-story homes along the street with the porches. The auto court comes in with garage access. And each home has a private yard and will have a private covered integrated patio. So these aren't condominium type homes. They're actually platted lots with single-family private yards. These some homes have the direct access to the street, very few. They'll look like the ones above. That's the traditional lot homes. Auto court homes will look and feel as the exhibit below. This is a blow up of the module and how it works. Trash containers go in the side or backyard or in the people's garages. There's extra parking in the courts, and you can see how the private yards are interspersed for each home. And that actually wraps up my presentation. I hope I made it.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you joining us tonight and the presentation. At this time, what I'll do is I will run through the commissioners and ask if you have questions for either staff or the applicant. And we'll start with Commissioner Steiner.
No.
Commissioner Kish.
I had one question regarding the noise control on the back wall. I believe it's the west side of the property where it butts up to Aldi. Will there be any noise reduction wall, or what steps are being taken to minimize noise for those back homes?
Certainly, as the applicant, I can address that if you don't mind, Commissioner Kish. We've provided the 15-foot building setback. We can provide landscaping of the rear yards. And since we'll be, presumably, I'm not sure, Aldi took up a little bit of a pause on their development, but first one in is going to have to put the wall in. So there will be a wall to enclose not only the backyards, but to provide the noise attenuation between the two. I can go back, if you don't mind, one moment. I'm going to see if I can go back to my presentation and zoom in. Let me go back one more. I believe Aldi would have had to have provided some level of landscape in the back. So it looks like they have they may have something there. I know the owner representative is on the line, but I think Aldi may have something. If not, we have our own rear yards to accommodate the noise attenuation.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Commissioner Kish?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Clymer.
Yes, Jason, thank you. Very nice presentation. You mentioned HOA. Is the developer then going to have a developer controlled HOA in the facility?
Sir, yes, Commissioner, yes, that is correct. All of the commonly owned tracts throughout the development, that would include, let me go to the next slide if you don't mind. All of the park spaces will certainly be held in ownership by the HOA or POA or HOA. And then as part of the maintenance agreement, they'll have all of the front yards and all these little perimeters will all be installed and maintained by the Property Owners Association.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further, Commissioner Clymer?
No, Chairman Ray, thank you.
Commissioner Ellison? Commissioner Ellison?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. Thank you very much. Great presentation. I do have one question. Who's the target market for these, and does Curve have more than one of these locations?
That's a great question. Thank you, Jason. Thanks for responding, the applicant. Okay, so this project is kind of going in tandem with the project that we have in the city of Phoenix and South Mountain. They're very similar projects, similar architecture, amenities. This project appeals to the rental by choice demographic. It can be empty nesters, it can be young professionals. It really suits people that are perhaps they're just not inclined to purchase in the market right now. It could be in this very market right now, actually, but still want to choose to live in a single family home with an integrated garage in a professionally managed community rather than renting a home kind of one-off from somebody in a neighborhood somewhere. In this case, it's a bit more of a turnkey lifestyle. So they can have all of the accoutrements of a single family home residence, but without the maintenance or any issues related to, kind of a owner landlord that's somewhere else. They'll have professional maintenance accessible at all times.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anything further, Commissioner Ellison?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you. At this time, again, thank you, Jason, and thank you, Steve, for the presentations. Very well done. At this time, we'll move to the public hearing portion of this particular case. Are there any emails that have come through or any comments regarding this particular agenda item?
We have not received any comments or emails.
Thank you. Again, it's public comments at goodyearaz.gov if you wish to comment on any of these tonight. With that, I will close the public hearing and we will go into the discussion portion of it. I'll run through the commissioners again. If you have anything, feel free to speak up. Commissioner Steiner?
No.
Commissioner Kish?
No.
Commissioner Clymer?
No.
Commissioner Ellison? Commissioner Ellison?
No.
With that, I'll take a motion on agenda item number 2.
Chairman Bray, I move that we approve 19-210-00009.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the rezoning to final planned area development for Curve at Estrella Falls.
Mr. Chairman, this is Christopher. Can I ask for a point of clarification? Does that motion include the stipulations that Steve Corecchia recommended in the staff report?
Commissioner Clymer, it's your motion. Is that your
Yes.
understanding?
Yes, they did.
So to clarify, the motion is to approve the rezoning to final planned area development for Curve at Estrella Falls to include staff stipulations as presented. Does that work for you, Chris?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the clarification. Appreciate that.
Not a problem. Is there any further discussion at this time from any of the commissioners?
No.
Nope.
No.
Hearing none, Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Steiner?
Yay.
Commissioner Kish?
Aye.
Commissioner Clymer?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellison?
Aye.
Chairman Bray?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3 is the zoning ordinance text amendment, commercial district standards, setback requirements. This evening's presentation will be presented by Christian, and I will open the public hearing.
Good evening, Chairman Bray and Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm here before you this evening digitally with a request from the city to conduct a zoning ordinance text amendment for our commercial district standards. The proposed amendment would impact the entire city of Goodyear. It would impact our neighborhood commercial zoning, C1, and our general commercial zoning, C2. Specifically, it would impact the minimum commercial front setbacks and unified shopping centers. The first question you might have is, what exactly is the front setback? The front setback is measured from the front of the lot. In the picture on the left, you will see an existing commercial lot from the pedestrian or car point of view. The lines show you the front setback. For more clarity, the picture on the right shows an existing commercial lot within the city. You can see it is L-shaped, and the building is approximately 99 feet from the front of the lot. As you will recall, the front of the lot is the narrowest of the two lot lines, the one adjacent to the street or the line that is obviously the front. Currently, the City of Goodyear's zoning ordinance, Article 3, Section 3-3-6 on commercial district standards provides requirements in subsection A on commercial districts' minimum setbacks. A building should be a minimum of 30 feet from the front of the lot line in C1 and C2 zoning districts. We looked at some of our neighboring and fast-growing valley cities and found that two cities in the West Valley measure only from the front of the lot to the building setback. However, with Buckeye, this is negligible because Buckeye has no setback. Peoria has a 15-foot setback. Chandler and Glendale measure from the right-of-way line and require 50-foot and 20-foot. Gilbert generally requires a 50-foot setback from the front of the lot, except if it is within a master site plan, commercial subdivision, or development plan. Those requirements can be waived. As an item of note, we do have at least one proposal into the city to create lots in a larger commercial center that have buildings on the front lot line, but the building is more than 400 feet from the nearest roadway. So we cannot process these lot creations or lot splits without a zoning ordinance text amendment. Our staff proposed solution would be to keep the front lots, allow it to be eliminated under certain circumstances and applicable to a public roadway. Goodyear is proposing we measure from the nearest public street, similar to the cities on the right, and like Gilbert, which would allow for an exception when it is within a unified shopping center. So let's discuss those circumstances and practical applications on the next slide. If an applicant is requesting has a building further than 30 feet from a roadway, but would like to create a lot where the building would be closer than 30 feet from the front of the lot line, this zoning ordinance text amendment would add some flexibility. The flexibility would be provided if the lot is in a larger unified commercial center that has cross access to the parcels, has ample parking and shared parking agreements, and the lot is still further than 30 feet from the closest public road. On the left, you'll see an example of a large unified commercial center. You can see a lot highlighted on the left, which contains multiple stores and parking area all on one lot. There is a star denoted on the image on the left and right to give you some perspective of where we are when we discuss this example. This is a large big box store located deeply set back on the lot. Here's the star. Here's the star. More specifically, the big box store in question is located more than 900 feet from the closest public street. It is also located behind several other buildings. On the right, let's assume that a few of the big box store owners wanted to locate their buildings on separate lots or split their buildings onto a new lot for ownership purposes. The yellow line shows the proposed new lot lines. Keep in mind that while the lots have changed, the building is still a owners association, POA, which is similar to an HOA. They still have shared the same access to parking, and they still maintain cross-access easements and agreements. The buildings have not changed, nor has their distance from the road, just the front of the lot line. With our current ordinance, this would not be possible, even though the buildings are still more than 900 feet from the nearest public street. If we amend Article 3 zoning districts, Section 3-3-6 commercial district standards, subsection A dimension requirements for C1 neighborhood commercial district and C2 general commercial district, and make it so the front lot setback would not apply for lots within a unified development, which is the development intended for 3 or more businesses, so long as the development has permanent cross-access, shared parking and access easements necessary to meet the minimum parking and maneuvering requirements and all other applicable requirements, and the building is further than 30 feet from the nearest public street. With an ordinance change, the example on the right would be possible. The buildings are still more than 900 feet from the nearest public street, and in both examples, the buildings still share cross-access, shared parking, and are part of the same POA. Nothing has changed except the store owners are able to own their own store on a new lot that they're able to create. And with that, staff has evaluated the impacts of this proposed amendment and researched other communities. With no major concerns being found, staff recommends you forward an approval recommendation to amend Article 3 zoning districts, Section 3-3-6 commercial district standards, subsection A dimension requirements for C1 neighborhood commercial district and C2 general commercial district, minimum lot setbacks, to allow for the ability to waive the minimum lot setback and make it applicable only to the closest public road for lots within a unified commercial development, so long as the development has permanent cross-access, shared parking, and access easements necessary to meet the minimum parking and maneuvering requirements. All requirements. And with that, that concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Christian. Well done. I think since it's the committee that has applied, there's no one else to present on this issue.
That is correct.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go to, are there any emails or speaker cards regarding this issue?
We have not received any emails or speaker cards.
Thank you, Alyssa. With that, then, I will close the public hearing and we will move into, actually, you know what, my apologies. I should go back to the commissioners. Is there any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Steiner?
No.
Commissioner Kish?
No.
Commissioner Clymer?
None?
Commissioner Ellison?
No.
Thank you. Being no questions, is there any discussion on this issue?
No.
All right, with that, I will take a motion.
Chairman Bray, I'd like to move that we approve 20-220-00002.
Second.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the zoning ordinance text amendment, commercial district standard setback requirements. Is there any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, will the secretary please note the roll?
Commissioner Steiner?
Aye. Aye.
Commissioner Kish?
Aye.
Commissioner Clymer?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellison? Commissioner Ellison?
Aye.
Chairman Bray?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. On to agenda item number 4. This is the Goodyear Village Center Comprehensive Sign Package. Again, Christian will present, and with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, Commissioner Bray and the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm still here digitally with a request from the applicant Joe Walters for a comprehensive sign package for Goodyear Village Center. The Goodyear Village Center is located in the central area of our city. It is located at the northwest corner of North Litchfield Road and West Van Buren Street, near the location of the red box on the screen. The larger center is adjacent to a Burger King and an Angry Crab, so you have a few landmarks, and I will discuss the specific boundaries of this proposal on the next slide. To quickly discuss the boundaries of the proposed area, the center is an older center within the community. The proposal will impact 3 of the parcels before you today. The parcels ending in 028, 029, and 030 will be impacted by the proposal. The other businesses are on different parcels and are each owned by different entities. Each of the businesses not included in this proposal or this proposed comprehensive sign package already has the smaller signs located along Litchfield Road. The first component of this comprehensive sign package is a multi-tenant monument sign, which will address signage needs for the tenants and the strip of businesses north of DD's Discounts, as well as DD's Discounts, Dollar Tree, Goodwill, and the businesses south of the Goodwill on the strip. The proposal is to add an 18-foot monument sign on North Litchfield Road and a second 18-foot tall monument sign on West Van Buren Street. These signs are indicated by the letter A and look like on the left. The style and color scheme remodeled on the right. Pictures are of the remodeled, and you'll see that the multi-tenant sign very well matches the character of those buildings. In order to be a good neighbor and add to the attractiveness along North Litchfield Road, the applicant has worked with an out parcel owner to have one of their smaller signs removed. The sign indicated by the letter C will be removed, which means the number of signs along Litchfield Road will not increase. We're adding A, but we're removing C. The proposed 18-foot tall sign is also in line with existing signs approved at the Litchfield and Van Buren area. For example, the Goodyear Financial Center, which is located north of City Hall, across the street from their proposed sign, already has a height of 18 feet 6 inches. And the Palm Valley Crossing, which is the Big Lot Center, has a 16-foot tall sign. So this proposed sign is shorter than the tallest sign at this corner. The second component is regarding size of wall signs, specifically for tenants occupying 9,000 square feet or more of space. Currently, our sign ordinance states that for each elevation of the building, you're allowed 1 square foot of sign area for each linear foot of building frontage, or 35 feet, whichever is greatest. This is what is shown on the top of the screen, what is existing for the major tenants in the center today. So you have this on the top of the screen. The comprehensive sign package proposes a sign of 1.5 square feet for each linear foot of sign for the building frontage. The image on the bottom is an example of the signage opportunities the center's major tenants would have if this plan were adopted. See that down here. The third provision is for slightly larger shingle signs. A shingle sign is located under the canopy of a building and helps pedestrians see which stores they are approaching. The city currently allows for signs that are 3 square feet. The applicant requests signs that are 4 square feet within this area. The last provision also pertains to tenants occupying 9,000 square feet or more of space. This would allow them to add 3 window graphics that cover an entire window. Currently, the city allows tenants to cover only 25% of their window for an on-premise advertisement or graphic. This would allow the major tenants to do something similar to what you see on the right. Advertise what is in their stores on a complete window. Of note, the canopies of this building are very deep recessed, so the signage on the window is quite recessed for the major tenants. Staff has evaluated the impacts of this comprehensive sign package for Goodyear Village Center. With no major concerns being found, staff recommends we forward a recommendation of approval for the Goodyear Village Center with the stipulations found in the staff report. With that, are there any questions?
Thank you, Christian. Appreciate it. Is there an applicant that wishes to address the commission on this particular agenda?
Yes, Chairman and Commissioners, this is Joe Walters. I'm with the ownership group for the Goodwill Dollar Tree and Dee Dee's Discount Building. Also in this application, I'm representing the other ownership of the inline shops, which are the shops to the north and south of us. As you guys are aware, with the two new ownership groups out there over the last couple of years, we've substantially remodeled and repainted all of the main inline shopping center, not the pad buildings, which we don't own. And we've got new roof, new paint. We've got good credit tenants coming in. One of the slides that Christian showed had with the monument signs, if you notice the smaller 6 panels that were on it, those were dedicated to the use of the small shops, which especially in today's retail environment, them being blocked with visibility from the all the pads that are out in the front. They're on a slide. You can see that the top three signs are dedicated to the bigger anchors over 9,000 feet. And the bottom 6 signs would be dedicated to tenants in the shops on the north and the south. The visibility, Dee Dee is the main tenant who's really pushed for the increased signage. Part of their feeling is, if you can see in that site plan, traffic coming the way they set back a little bit behind the shops, and also the 3 pad buildings to the northeast of them blocks their visibility, so they've asked the increased signage and like to be able to, as was shown in the bottom diagram, be able to add a can sign that clarifies what Dee Dee's is. I think Christian did a good job of explaining things, and I don't want to drag us out, so if you guys don't have any other questions, I'll stop at this point.
Thank you, Joe, and I appreciate you joining us tonight. At this time, I'll go through the list of commissioners, and if anybody has any questions for either Joe or Christian, now is the time. Commissioner Steiner.
No.
Commissioner Kish.
No.
Commissioner Clymer.
None.
Commissioner Ellison.
No.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Joe and Christian, for this. Is there any emails or comments from the public, Alyssa?
We have not received any emails or comments.
Thank you, I appreciate that. With that, then, we'll move right along, and I'll take a motion to approve the sign package.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 19-630-00008.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the Goodyear Village Center Comprehensive Sign Package. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Steiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Kish,
Aye.
Commissioner Clymer,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellison,
Aye.
Chairman Bray.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. On to staff communication.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission. First of all, first and foremost, we hope that you and all of your families and extended families are weathering this crazy time and are maintaining their health and safety. So please know that we wish you all nothing but the best. Secondly, thank you for your extreme adaptability with this. This is the first virtual meeting that the city has ever conducted as a portion of executing business. So thank you for your adaptability and willingness to work with us. I think Alyssa and Katie certainly have put in and Jeff Knirk with our communications team put in the hours and effort to make sure this went as smoothly as possible. So we appreciate everybody's adaptability and commitment to helping us pull this off appropriately. Obviously, we also want to thank our applicants for also adapting and working with us in this new virtual environment. And I think things went pretty smooth overall tonight. So thank you for your effort and collaboration. The one thing I have to report is the case, if you remember, from March 11th, that Christian actually presented about the commercial lot width standards. That case went to the city council on March 23rd and was recommended, or they actually did approve it. So the lot standards for commercial districts in a unified shopping center, those lot width standards have been modified. And you're going to continue to see a rollout of new zoning ordinance text amendments over the next couple of months to address a mirror that the city has been experiencing. So just to kind of set that expectation for you, there's two methodologies we could use. One is to batch them together and we do a whole lot of them at one time, or kind of flow them through. And we chose to do the flow through matter or methodology on purpose so that we can continue to move things along at a greater clip and not impact our private sector customers and projects. So with that, Mr. Chairman, unless anybody has any questions for me, I think that's my report and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christopher. Is there any questions for staff at this time?
No.
Sounds good. Your staff, Christopher, you and your staff are to be commended for putting this all together to make sure business continues during these difficult times. So I sincerely appreciate all of your guys' work. I think it's very important that those that can work, we keep them moving. So congratulations to all of you folks. With that, the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be held on May 6th, 2020 at 6 p.m. I encourage you to stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.